Like, let's be entirely honest here. T1 have had a shit year.
And a lot of the talk was like, washed, Faker washed, T1 washed. Like in group stage, they just didn't look that good. And the biggest story coming out of the group stage is Envy, eliminated from the tournament in that group stage.
TSM have announced that they will be leaving Valorant entirely. This sucks. This really sucks.
However, after their win, it was announced that the entire team would be getting picked up by BBL. That caused a lot of controversy.
You can't stop him! You can't stop Sparker! He's too good!
Hello everyone, and welcome to another week of The Loading Screen. My name is Soren. Joining me, as always, my wonderful co-host. We got Gedster, we got Diatonic. How are we feeling tonight, guys?
I'm a very happy boy recently. I mean, we've had 2 grand finals recently for like year-long circuits that we're about to talk about tonight, and both of them had the team I really wanted to win take it all home. And we're going to get to those in a moment here, but suffice to say, I'm a very happy boy.
I still feel like I haven't recovered from DreamHack Atlanta yet. It was my first DreamHack, actually. Really fun experience overall. I mean, really great time. Of course, being there to watch the Rivals Grand Finals was awesome, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I feel like I'm still kind of, I wouldn't say jet lagged, but we drove down there, long drive, and yeah, just a few wild days of some big gaming. But hey, speaking of big gaming, maybe the biggest gaming this year, the biggest news of this year, the League of Legends World Finals are in the books now, and we are here to get you caught up on what happened. So, it is all about T1. T1 achieved an unprecedented three-peat by defeating KT Rolster 3-2 in the 2025 League of Legends World Championship Grand Finals. That would be their 6th Worlds title and reaffirms their dominance in the long-standing telecom war rivalry. So three-peat there for T1. Absolutely insane stuff from them. Both teams actually came into Worlds as the lowest seeds out of the LCK and made these insane underdog runs, kind of these dual runs to the grand finals where they beat all of these teams that they were never projected to win against and stand there on that grand stage at the very end. So KT started off pretty strong. They got some early advantages here and there. They won game 2 behind BDD's standout performance on Mel, and then Cuzz's dominant Mundo performance in game 3 as well. Love to see some good Mundo out there as always. But T1, they started making a comeback there in game number 4. Faker on the Anivia, which has been kind of the talk of the town lately. And then Oner, of course, with some big smites. And they went to game number 5. So all kinds of drama, you know, exactly what you want to see from League Finals. But in that finale, T1 pulled out the Galio-Camille combo, way too strong for KT Rolster, and then eventually ended that series with some really big, very big and intense team fights to round that thing out. So yeah, overall, I mean, huge stuff from T1, absolutely massive performance from them. But you know, I don't know, people in the group stage said maybe not looking as strong as they usually do, but I mean, they came out on top once again, so almost feels like undefeatable. Hard to make a god bleed, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, Ged, you're going to bring it up later, but T1 is just a different monster at Worlds. We talked about it a little bit last time, but T1, they can have a terrible year, but if they make the Worlds, pray for whatever team comes their way. But to kind of just round out the league news before we break it down a little bit more in depth, in a flurry of announcements, Riot has announced that Texas and New York City will be the venues for League of Legends World Championship in 2026. Allen, Texas will host the play-in, Swiss stage, and the subsequent playoffs, with the grand finals being held in New York City, I believe at Madison Square Garden. I believe so. You could I double-check me on that one, but I'm pretty sure. On top of that, Riot Games has also announced that First Stand 2026, the second iteration of League of Legends' first international tournament, will also be held in Sao Paulo, Brazil. First Stand 2026 will also have 8 teams competing compared to the 6 from this past year. Mid-season Invitational MSI for 2026 will be held in South Korea. There have been no confirmed dates announced for MSI quite yet.
Like you said, coming back to me, I wanted to talk a little bit about the some of the specifics behind T1's here, because I have, in the last week or so, while interacting with people, talking about Worlds and such, come across an opinion that I found kind of fascinating, and that's the fact that I have met several people who don't find it interesting anymore to watch Worlds because, oh, T1's just gonna win. But frankly, this win should not have happened. Like, let's be entirely honest here. T1 have had a shit year. Pardon my French, we can bleep that out if necessary, but T1 have had an awful year. They benched Gumayusi for a significant part of the early year in favor of Smash. They lost Zeus, one of the best top laners of all time in the offseason, and had to pick up Doran, who most people saw as a huge downgrade. And frankly, he was playing like a pretty huge downgrade for a lot of the year. But it doesn't matter, man. Like, they get second at MSI. Okay, cool. They barely scrape their way into Worlds by getting 4th place in the domestic tournament to qualify for Worlds. Guess who got 3rd? Guess who eliminated them in 4th place? It was KT. This was an absolutely absurd run from them. From the last seed coming out of the LCK to another Worlds win. When I tell you this should never have happened, I mean that. Don't look at this and just think to yourselves, oh, okay, T1 won again. That's just to be expected, right? Gumayusi was benched earlier this year, and he was your finals MVP. If you have not watched the finals, I need you to go watch Game 5 in particular. His misfortune was generational in Game 5. I don't know that we're ever going to see another ADC performance like that.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody that's been in and out of league and, over the last few months, been paying attention, especially to Worlds, my social media feed's always full of esports stuff. And a lot of the talk was like, washed, Faker washed, T1 washed, like in group stage, they just didn't look that good. And they basically spent this whole tournament kind of building back up why people believed in this team and why they were, known as one of the strongest. I mean, Faker does not need another Worlds title, but he gets one anyway. I mean, he has nothing left to prove and continues to go out there and give it his all, even in the face of this adversity of, okay, we had a bad start here, kind of off on the wrong foot. But he still feels, connected to the game and enough that he puts in so much effort to get these wins. I mean, not to overlook the rest of the players on T1 either, but man, an insane story. I mean, this is the kind of legend you see in other sports that only comes along like once in a lifetime. So, to see him, I mean, I'm a little emotional about it too. And I'm not super connected to the League of Legends scene. It's hard not to.
Absolutely. But to kind of keep us moving along here, we're going from one of the biggest esports in the world, one of the grandest spectacles in the world, to an up-and-comer game. I know we went and saw this live, Diatonic, but do you want to talk about the Marvel Rivals Ignite Grand Finals that took place over DreamHack Weekend?
Oh, I would absolutely love to. Yeah, I mean, from one of the longest standing esports out there to one of the newest, like you said. So Marvel Rivals, the first season of Ignite, that big tier 1 competitive pro circuit, has wrapped up with the grand finals tournament held at DreamHack Atlanta. Virtus.pro raising the trophy at the very end of that tournament over Navi, beating them 4-1 to claim that championship title and $320K in the process. So not too shabby for a freshman year esport for sure. But so 12 teams from across 5 different regions descended on Atlanta, qualified through various means, but all making it out of their respective stage 2s in their regions. They had a group stage over the first couple days of the tournament. 4 teams were eliminated from that. The biggest story coming out of the group stage is Envy, eliminated from the tournament in that group stage. Really hard to tell what happened with Envy here. I mean, just we're not playing up to par with what they normally are. Feels like they kind of got left behind in this meta. It seems like everyone else kind of evolved, and they came back with some tricks and some tactics they won several matches at midseason finals with, but weren't really up to date with what was going on in the meta now. So they were beaten by several teams. The biggest win coming off of Envy was a team called Chopper Mag, playing out of Oceania, kind of the underdog heroes of this whole story, and I'll talk a little bit more about them too. But so Soren and I were there in person when the group stage concluded and we moved on to the playoffs, which, man, it was quite a spectacle for sure. I mean, a beautiful stage setup for that first tournament. But really, of course, the big story, Virtus.pro wins this thing. They kind of had, they were one of the first emergent dominant teams in the EMEA region early on, had some issues in stage 1 and were eliminated, did not make midseason finals land in Guangzhou, China. But this is kind of them saying, hey, that was kind of just a fluke for us because they came back and won in dominant fashion. Coming out of the upper bracket, they defeated every single person they went up against. barely broke a sweat against a lot of teams. I mean, just dominant beyond. I mean, it felt like everybody else was kind of playing in their rearview mirror. But there was plenty of bright spots for other teams there as well. Navi, who were the former Rad Esports team that won midseason finals, they were the runners up here, played some insane games, especially when Crisis came in during grand finals. Virtus.pro went up 3-0. Crisis comes in on Winter Soldier, absolutely dominates that whole map. I mean, several streaks of Kraken impacts, multi KOs over and over again. Really great stuff there. I mentioned Chopper Mag, a team comprised of the first Ground Zero gaming team from Oceania, and then a couple players from Nova Esports out of China. One in particular being Bobo, a Psylocke and Star-Lord player who broke my heart during this tournament. Put on insane performances, gave a quote at the end of their match with Dark Zero that they managed to win in the lower bracket, and really just said, before this game, I was just a guy with a job. Nobody knew who I was. And he kind of teared up a little bit, and he said, now, everybody knows us. We're Chopper Mag. Navi, unfortunately, went up against them after that and did defeat them. But it was a pretty humble win. Navi's a very, very respectful team. They were one of the only teams to scrim Chopper Mag. So a lot of teams said, you're Oceania. We don't care. We don't need to deal with you. You're going to get knocked out. And some teams would live to regret that in this tournament. So really kind of like a very nice, coup de grace, we will eliminate you from the tournament very politely, I guess. But yeah, that wraps up the first season of Ignite competitive play. So we're still kind of awaiting what the next year of Marvel Rivals Esports is going to look like. But from my understanding, NetEase is very satisfied with the esports product, and they are looking to invest big in the coming year. Of course, as we're recording this, Season 5 of Marvel Rivals has kicked off. Gambit now in the game. Lots of hype around this patch. Lots of buffs across the board. It's going to be a completely different meta from what you saw at those grand finals. But I think that covers most of it. I mean, Soren, I know for me, it was very, very emotionally charged, especially in the aftermath and kind of looking at all the footage and just kind of going over this team's stories. But man, it was absolutely insane in person.
Obviously, going into this event, I was very much rooting for teams like Thieves and Reject and CR, not realizing that Virtus.pro, their coach, EQO, is one of my favorite players in all of esports history. He used to play for a team called the Philadelphia Fusion back in the Overwatch League. Now, if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's that despite the fact that I am wearing a New York Excelsior t-shirt, I was first and foremost a Philadelphia Fusion fan. I have this flag that I still haven't set up. I have a hoodie in the closet. I have a hat also in the closet. I have stickers somewhere around here. I love this team and I miss them every day. But one of the things about them is the fact that they always got second place. Literally never managed to get that trophy with any iteration of the team. After they rebranded to Soul Infernal, still didn't get first place in anything in that last season of the Overwatch League. But EQO, I got to see EQO lift a trophy in my lifetime, and that shit made me tear up. Oh my god. That was awesome. That made me very happy. But speaking of Overwatch players, former Overwatch players in there, MVP of the tournament, Sparker. What a performance, man. Oh my god. Just unreal. I'm messaging Soren in the middle of the tournament. I'm watching in this chair, and I'm messaging Soren, who's sitting in Atlanta watching in person. And I'm like, so is Sparker just the best player of all time or what? And he messages back and says, and this is with Navi banning specifically around him. So you can't stop him. You can't stop Sparker. He's too good. And yeah, I mean, I'm just very happy to see. I mean, one, the tournament was super entertaining. I don't personally love playing Marvel Rivals myself, but watching it, definitely a treat. And to see players that I've been rooting for so long finally get to lift a trophy on VP, it was pretty amazing. Even if CR didn't make playoffs, even if Reject went 0-2 in playoffs, I was very happy with the tournament. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, I mean, there were some issues in the group stage. They had some technical problems, and there were a few bugs there on the main stage. But I mean, ultimately, for the first time out, just a good product overall for me. So yeah, I guess kind of to kind of bring this thing to a head, looking ahead at the next year of Rivals Ignite or whatever, whatever esports thing comes next for Marvel. In the wake of this, we're going to see some moves here. We're going to see players, teams, moving around. We're probably going to say goodbye to some people, but a couple of big pieces of news in terms of, I guess you could call it roster mania. Right after the tournament, maybe a couple days after, Sentinels, a team from NA that's kind of been one of the flagship teams of Rivals Esports, they did announce they were going to be pausing operations in Rivals and allowing the team to pursue other opportunities. They said that they feel like they're waiting for the team incentives to improve and some other things to get shored up by NetEase, but they plan to kind of come back when some of those things roll out. And then kind of on the other side of the coin, Citadel, who acquired the team formerly known as Berber Patapim, the Stage 1 EMEA champs, they said that they are confirmed they are staying with Rivals through 2026. They feel that the incentives for the teams are good and that it's worth sticking around. So there is kind of this weird question in the air of like, what exactly is going to happen? When we're recording this, I could be proven wrong later. We don't really know what's the next step. Like, what's the next tournament series going to look like? What's changing. People want to know about like team skins and things like that. I've heard that NetEase sat down and spoke with several of the teams at LAN to kind of give them their plans of like, here's what we're going to do for the next year. And from what I have heard, Citadel staying in the game and some other rumblings, it sounds like teams are satisfied with that. It looks like the Thieves are going to stick around as well. So I think there's some good there. But the question is like, did NetEase communicate this to other teams and orgs that didn't make it to LAN? Because Sentinels were cut down in stage 2. They did not get an invite to Atlanta. So it's kind of like, did they really just not mention to the other teams like, hey, there's more plans? Like, was it just they sat down at LAN? We don't know for sure, but really unfortunate to see. Sentinels, kind of a well-known team in the rival space, plenty of star players coming out of them right out the bat. But hopefully when some of those team incentives get around or they improve, they will come back. But I mean, overall, very satisfying start. It seems like NetEase are very happy with the direction and are happy to keep investing in it. So we are continuing on next year and hopefully with even more stuff to come.
Alrighty, and bringing us into the next bit, we are going to be talking about VCT. We have a lot of roster mania news, obviously, as we are in the off season for Valorant, but a little bit of on the tail end of Ascension happening across all regions right now. Pretty much every Ascension tournament is done. Actually, at this point, they are all done, but there's a little bit of drama coming out of EMEA. BBL Pacific, a collaboration team between the orgs of BBL and Pacific, both Turkish orgs. They claimed victory at VCT Ascension in 2025, going undefeated in the group stage with wins over Focus and Twisted Minds before beating Dynasty in the grand finals. Despite losing the opening map on Lotus, BCF rallied to take 3 straight wins on Abyss and Corrode to secure their place in VCT EMEA. However, after their win, it was announced that the entire team would be getting picked up by BBL, which is the official VCT franchise org in the EMEA region. That caused a lot of controversy because that means that Pacific, who earned their spot, are going to have to bring up a whole new roster into VCT with their temporary slot. There was also concerns of conflict of interest because people believe that maybe there was shared ownership and maybe that's why they felt the entire team was getting picked up by BBL. There was an investigation by Riot. Riot did confirm that there was no shared ownership and they did make the players fully aware of their rights. The fact that they did not have to move to BBL if they didn't want to, however, I believe is still going through. So I think that is still the plan. Riot claimed that they are just the affiliates of BBL. There's no shared ownership, and as such, there's no conflict of interest. However, across the board, fans are still a little skeptical, and the entire situation, it's a little iffy. So we're going to have to wait to see how that all rolls out at the start of next VCT season.
Yeah, and I mean, understandably so. The skepticism is quite strange. But moving on to more news, not happier news, but more news. After their exit from the VCT Ascension tournament, TSM have announced that they will be leaving Valorant entirely. This sucks. This really sucks. TSM has been around for a very, very long time in Valorant, since the beginning, I believe. But did not get into franchising, obviously, when that started, but they didn't give up. They stuck around. They continued to play in Ascension for a very long time, but most recently they lost to Envy in the grand finals of Ascension. And after confirmation that most of their core and head coach were signed by the Thieves, the org has officially stepped out of the scene. I mean, yeah, it's not entirely shocking considering the fact that TSM they've been kind of having financial issues for a very, very long time at this point. So uh, they were also directly involved in like a pretty heinous scandal a few years back, the workplace misconduct scandal involving the CEO Reginald, which led to a full investigation by Riot at the time. And this is only the latest instance of TSM leaving a game that they have had a super storied history in. And I think the only rosters remaining are Apex Legends, the finals, and Super Smash Brothers. Which, yeah, it's not a lot. And it does say Super Smash Brothers here, but like it's there is some happy news. They did recently sign Tweak, but that's very off topic. They still have Leppin, who's more of a fighting game player these days. We'll talk a little bit about Tweak later, but yeah, it sucks. They're only in a couple games now. Meanwhile, though, the top teams in NAVCT are slowly finalizing rosters. Cloud9 announced that they have acquired Penny and Zelsis, reuniting that old version 1 core from back in the day before Zelsis got picked up by Sentinels. So now C9 has 2 players and a coach from that original V1 roster. RIP V1, by the way. You hate to see it. Zelsis notably has blamed a very toxic Sentinels fanbase as part of the reason that he stepped down from the team. He mentioned that he and his family as well have gotten messages from people online, and that was a big factor for why he left Sentinels. And, off topic, sort of, but just be normal. Like, some of you people are weird. Just be normal, man. Like, it's not that difficult, I swear. But it was confirmed in the last week that the 100 Thieves Valor roster would be Asuna and Cryo, Bang coming back after a stint with Sentinels, and the TSM core of Timotino and Vora and the ex-TSM head coach NBS. Sentinels have rounded out their roster with call-ups from Cube Academy Q and Redux, the addition of Cortesia from MIBR, and the re-signings of John QT and Narrate, which I think is a very interesting roster. I did not entirely expect Narrate to stick around, but pleasant surprise that he did. Zekin has also officially left Sentinels, and the roster that we talked about last week that is rumored for MIBR of Aspas, Verno, Zekin, Mazzino, and Tex is still the reported line. However, nothing is confirmed quite yet.
Yeah, a lot of news, a lot of roster shifting, a lot of very interesting rosters. Last year, like we had a lot of teams that could kind of be on the verge of super teams. Also, since then, we're recording this a little bit later than we normally do. G2 has had a couple of changes, so G2 is also a little bit up in the air, so they're not looking as strong. Yeah, but but last year, I felt like we had a lot of almost like super teams, and this year they are a lot more grounded. But I think that's almost kind of what the scene needs. All of these teams look pretty good on paper, and obviously these are a lot of the top teams. A couple of them still look a little crazy. I think I was looking with a friend at the EG roster, and the EG rumored roster looks a little bit out there, is what I'll say. But I mean, Sentinels, even though their roster looked a little bit worse than they did last year, they're playing in the Red Bull Homeground event, and they're actually looking really good. They also did their Sentinels Classic event, which they won their own tournament in a pretty solid fashion. So they're looking good. If that MIBR roster happens, though, that's just a super team. Everyone's competing for second. Unless something happens in that team and the mental explodes or the communication, falls apart, that is by far, I think, still the best team on paper. And it's looking more and more, the longer that these players don't get picked up by anyone else, it's looking more and more like this is going to be the case. I will say, it's that time of the week. 100 Thieves fans coming out. I'm super hyped for the 100 Thieves run. We got Bang back, which was not even in the world of possibility. So I'm super excited for that roster. Plus the TSM players, they were super good, only falling to Envy, which is not bad at all. Envy was also beating tier 1 teams in the Sentinels Classic event. So that's not something to hang your head in shame about. So we're going to be picking up some of their best players plus their head coach. I've been saying we need a better head coach for years now. We got one. Let's go. But yeah, TSM leaving is very sad. It's like been watching a fire go out over the last couple of years. It didn't crash out and like go bankrupt and just disappear overnight like I think CLG did a couple of years ago. But they've just been very slowly exiting one esport after another. And like you said, there's only like 3 rosters left. They just recently signed that finals roster, so they are still fighting, but from a team that used to be one of the biggest in the world with so many different fingers in so many different esports to just now having the 3, it's a little bit sad. And to round out this episode, we have some of the minor headlines for you all. The Call of Duty League, the CDL for 2026, will feature 4 majors across North America and Europe next year. Dallas, Birmingham, Atlanta, and Paris, with championship weekend in Las Vegas, and an additional showing at the Esports World Cup in Riyadh, just like this past year. The major format changes include replacing Control with a new mode Overload, introducing a round-robin qualifier for major number 2, the expanding of the CDL Challenger Circuit to include the Middle East, and multiple elite seasons, with the first online Challengers Cup starting on December 12th. And also, I think maybe add it after we wrote this, I think major 3, it was either 3 or 2, is going to be a pro-am as well. So challengers are going to have a chance to compete in one of the majors as well. So a lot of big news coming out of Call of Duty.
In the world of Counter-Strike, a couple big headlines as the Face It ELO record has been broken by 16-year-old Liam Male09 Tugel. The current record now stands at 5,415 ELO. Absolutely insane stuff. In other CS news, IEM Chengdu has concluded, and your winners are Furia. They swept Vitality in the grand finals 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll tack on some more Counter-Strike stuff. Razer has launched a new Counter-Strike 2 accessory line inspired by the iconic Op Dragon lore skin, one of my personal favorites, featuring golden dragon designs across the Viper V3 Pro mouse, the Huntsman V3 Pro TKL keyboard, nice keyboard, Black Shark V3 Pro headset, and the Gigantus V2 L mousepad, and the Isker V2 X chair. So everything that Razer makes, something on every line. Prices ranging from $179.99 to $399.99. All items are available now except for the chair, which is up for pre-orders at the moment. So this launch of the Counter-Strike, the Dragon Lore stuff, continues Razer's 2025 streak of themed collaborations, following partnerships with Riot's 2XKO, Pokemon, and esports teams like Sentinels and 100 Thieves. So I really want some of this Dragon Lore stuff. It looks super cool.
Quick news in regards to Red Bull Homegrounds, the world final for that coming up here relatively soon. I think it's happening, not the world final, but the event's happening as we're recording this. MSI has been announced as the official PC partner for that event, so keep an eye out for that. As well, EA, or Electronic Arts, reported a 13% year-over-year drop in net bookings for quarter 2 of the fiscal year of 2026, totaling 1.18 billion, or 886 million British pounds, attributing the decline to the prior year launch of College Football 25. Despite the overall dip, Apex Legends saw double-digit growth in net bookings, marking a strong rebound from the previous forecast of a 40% decline.
NASCAR and Knight have launched the NASCAR 25 Creators Series, a sim racing event featuring 8 streamers competing for a $100,000 prize pool plus performance bonuses. That's going to run from October of 2025, so just started up until February of 2026. The series aims to engage younger audiences through gaming creators, building on NASCAR's recent growth in esports and digital viewership.
In some happy TSM-related news that I brought up earlier, not sure if that bit's going to make the actual episode or not, but we'll see. One of the best Super Smash Bros. Players of all time across both Smash 4 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Tweak, has rejoined TSM. A few years ago, he left the organization to join Luminosity, but he left as he retired from the game a few months ago, but came back recently and decided to re-sign with TSM. So very happy to see the organization bring on one of the players that was, I would argue, one of the most iconic they've ever had. Maybe not a double lift or a leffen, but close.
Absolutely. And to kind of round everything out, last little bit of news that we have for you. Team Liquid has partnered with UNICEF to launch initiatives supporting the organization's sustainable development goals, including charity streams starting on November 20th and co-designed in-game integrations. Team Liquid founder Victor Gosen, sorry if I messed up that last name, said the partnership aims to help children reach their full potential through gaming. The collaboration builds on Team Liquid's history of charitable efforts promoting inclusivity and positive impact within esports. So, ending on a good and happy note. But with all that being said, that's all we have for you tonight. Diatonic, Ged, any final thoughts before we send it home?
I mean, you can tell we're at the end of the year, right? We're getting all these big, world championships, league worlds, Marvel grand finals. I mean, we're running out of stuff to cover, but of course, plenty of things left to go in these last few weeks of 2025. My eyes personally on the finals, of course, definitely going to be watching some of DreamHack Stockholm to see how that all plays out. I finally got to play the game myself the other day. I barely have time to play anything anymore. But really enjoyable experience. Got to watch a couple matches of the PHL league as well. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, definitely can tell we are running out of track here for 2025 esports.
And DreamHack Stockholm definitely going to be a location if you're still looking for any of the remaining esports for the rest of the year. As has been previously mentioned, the finals will be there with their first ever LAN, but Overwatch also going to be there with their World Finals. I will be at DreamHack Stockholm in person. I am very excited to be going overseas for the first time in my life, and I cannot express just how excited I am about this because God, I've never been to an Overwatch tournament in person before, and it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. And just to kind of wrap it up, I know we were saying that everything's kind of wrapping up here, but actually one notable exception, just so in case you're feeling like you might miss your esports, there is something coming up. The CDL season, the Call of Duty League for 2026, they're getting a nice early start this year. Notably, they normally start like January, February time. This time around, I think with all the extra majors and extra events and there's round robins, they're pushing it forward, and they're actually going to be starting up their first games on the 5th of December. So you can always keep your ear out for that. And again, that CDL season is looking great. Every announcement that they made genuinely has been met with praise, which is so rare for Call of Duty. So we're going to take it and see how it goes. But with all that being said, that's all we have for you. Thank you so much for watching the loading screen. As always, my name has been Soren. Joining me is Ged and Diatonic. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.